Welcome back to Workplace Revamp, the podcast where we ditch outdated workplace norms and rethink how we work. I'm your host, Renee Madden. Today's guest is someone who bridges science and self-awareness in a way that's anything but typical. Dr. Vanessa St. Gelais is a neuroscience expert, certified brain coach, and leadership powerhouse. She works with high-performing professionals to help them make smarter, more conscious decisions by understanding what's actually going on in their brain. Vanessa, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you.
It's such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, of course. I'm so excited to be talking about neuroscience. And Vanessa posts a lot of things on LinkedIn about neuroscience. And I've just been amazed by the information. And I thought, we all need to hear this, right? What's going on in our brains? And how can we change the way we show up or change our mindset? So let's start with the science. Can you break down different parts of our brain and how they influence our decisions, especially in like high pressure situations?
Yeah. So we're opening a Pandora's box with this topic. Let me break it down in some really bite-sized pieces.
Okay.
If you think of a very simplified brain model, you can imagine we have three main systems and they all interact with each other. Let's start with the most rudimental system that we have. Even reptiles have that system, and that's why it's called the reptilian complex. And that's kind of like your survival software. And this part of your brain is responsible for managing your pure survival. So it keeps your body going, and it also drives your instincts. So that system of your brain becomes active when, for example, you are wanting to try out a new class or try something new, but you're hesitating. Should I? Should I not? There might be a chance that that instinct kicked in and it's trying to keep you safe and it's trying to get you to save energy. So that's the first one.
Okay.
The second system is called the limbic system. And the limbic system is, you could imagine it as your emotional headquarters. That's where all your emotions are generated and your memories are formed. And so, for example, when you feel scared in a situation or your emotions are just overwhelming you, chances are that your limbic system, your emotional headquarters, are just firing full steam. And then there's the third system, which is the most modern system in terms of evolution, and it's called the neocortex. And the neocortex is like our executive control center. That's where all the complex decision-making happens. It also houses your belief system, so how you view yourself and how you view the world. And for example, when you are about to give a really important presentation and you are afraid of failing, or you're thinking that you're not good enough for something, good enough for the promotion or good enough for the presentation, it's probably your belief system kicking in and influencing how you perceive yourself. And those three systems, they interact with each other constantly. And they are also influenced by other factors. One of them is, for example, stress. Now, on a good day, your system works in a certain way. You're in check of your emotions, right? You know what's happening in your executive control center. And at the same time, you can control your instincts. So you can imagine your brain in a very simplified view. Imagine two balloons, a red one, which stands for the more emotional aspect that we have, and the blue one, which stands for our rational thinking. And on a good day, these two balloons are maybe equal in size, more or less. When you're stressed, something triggers you and you really go into stress response. This red balloon with the emotions becomes so big that you can see nothing else. And the blue balloon, the rational thinking part, becomes really, really small. And that's because our fear center, which is part of the limbic system that controls our emotions, is super activated in those moments. And then small emotions become really big. It's like, I'm sure we've all had situations where you snapped at somebody and then later on you regretted it, right? That's when your
Okay.
autopilot kicks in and your emotions took over in this case. And the key to smart decision making is to understand when is your autopilot functioning where it shouldn't be, and then learn how to step out of that into a more conscious and internally aware driven decision making.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I've been in situations where it could be, your manager calls you in and gives you bad news, like you didn't get that promotion. And for me, I always let my emotions get to me. So when people are in that situation, what can we do to change that at that point? Is there any kind of trigger or tools we can use?
There's many things you can do. And before I jump into that, just let me mention that there are some quick fixes we can do. And then
Okay.
there's some long term things we can work on. Because a lot about stress is how we perceive it.
Okay.
So the same situation can be stressful or pleasant, depending on how you register it in your brain. And having said that, there's a big piece about shaping your wiring and your mindset and learning how to rewire your brain so that you can deal with stressful situations differently.
Okay.
That's obviously not something you can just, oh yeah, we tick a box
Part of
and we're
one.
done here, right? It takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely possible. The other piece, and we can look into that now, is more of a quick fix situation. And for that, I love to use a framework which I call it's B, two M's for me.
Okay.
And
Easy.
it's yeah, be me. And it's five check-in steps that anyone can do in any moment.
Okay.
Doesn't take very long, and you can count them at the fingers of your hand. We can actually do it together if you want me
Yes,
to.
I would love that.
Okay, cool. So the first one for the thumb, that's the breath. Be
Okay.
your breath.
So
Just take a
breathe.
moment.
Oh, my hand's going up.
I'm just thinking we're raising our hands. So good. So take a moment and hone into your breath. Are you breathing freely? Then you're probably in your green zone, which is the cool, calm, and collected place where you want to be if you're relaxed.
Yeah.
Are you feeling some tension in your chest? Maybe there's difficulty breathing, or your breathing is shallow. That's a sign that you might be a bit activated.
Okay. I
And
feel good right now. I don't know why, but I feel calm.
great. That's wonderful. I do as well. And so that's a first check we can do. And it kind of reveals are you in your optimal zone or are you a bit activated? And by activated, I mean the more you're activated, the more you go in the direction of a stress reaction. A little
Okay.
bit of activation can be super helpful, by the way, because we need that in order to perform at our best. So it's all about modulation. How much do I need? Okay, so we checked the first thumb, it's breath.
Okay.
We
Breath.
seem to be good right now. Then second one is emotions.
Okay.
That's your index finger, emotions.
Emotions. Okay.
Take a moment to just experience what's driving you at the moment. What are the emotions that are present for you?
Do you want me to share?
And if you feel like it, share.
I'm very excited right now to be here with you and learning this. So I just feel very happy right now.
Amazing. And I feel honored. Thank you. So when you're in a situation that you mentioned earlier, where you go in and you get feedback from your boss, chances are there's all kinds of emotions that even come up before you go into the meeting. So by doing this BEMME check before you even walk into the meeting, you might be able to realize what's happening and what's driving you emotionally.
That's great. Yeah, I love that.
That can give you a lot of insight into, like, am I making assumptions here? Maybe am I expecting something bad already? And I'm already going on the fence, for example. So it
Yeah,
gives you a lot of insight in how activated you are and what is driving you in terms of your thoughts. Good.
great.
Then the middle finger is mental. Mental clarity stands for M.
Okay.
And
Mental.
with mental clarity, it's a check in to see, how clear is my mind right now? Am I sharp and focused? Then I'm probably good. Am I feeling flustered, confused, unable to really concentrate? Or do I just feel brain fog? Then you might want to do something about that, because you're probably not in the best situation to be really engaged in making a decision and in responding in a smart way, right?
So if you feel you might not be in the right mindset, maybe you should reschedule the meeting if you can.
It
Or-
depends on the situation, right? Ideally, if I know I'm going into an important meeting, and I recommend that to anyone, is make a manual for yourself. What's the ideal setup you need to really be at your best? For me, for example, I need to have moved a little bit before I go into that meeting so I can get back into my body and feel activated. Just walking around the office can help, or some people like to do 3 push-ups. It really depends on who likes to do what. Then make sure you've had enough food, can be really helpful. And we'll get to that later on as well. Mentally speaking, I think the biggest strainer can be if you're sitting in back-to-back meetings and you've had too many decisions to take, you might just feel really drained and overwhelmed, right? So figure out what it is for you that can help you reset your brain. For me, it can be a breathing exercise. Another thing that can be helpful, sometimes you're bothered by things, right? You go into one meeting, but you're still bothered by other things that happened earlier.
Oh,
Here's a
yes.
really simple thing. You know that one.
Never.
Here's a really simple thing you can do. You take your tongue, the tip of your tongue,
Okay.
and while your mouth is closed, you start on the top right of your mouth and you run the tip of your tongue alongside your teeth, one by one, from
Mm,
one side to the next on the inside,
okay.
very slowly, as if you were discovering your teeth for the very first time.
Hmm.
And then when you did one row, you can go to the lower jaw and you do the row on the way back in the opposite direction.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, when you do that, you can even do it in a meeting when you feel like you're getting activated. That helps calm down the mind. And it's so silly because the actual reason it calms down your mind is that your brain focuses on executive skills, like, what is really happening with my tongue? How do I move my tongue and what am I sensing? And that activates part of your cortex, the execution or the critical thinking brain, and it decreases the emotional center. So it
Mm,
helps you focus away from emotions onto simple tasks.
I love it. It's so easy to do too. Wow, I really like that technique because it's very easy to do. And I think for people in the workplace, like you said, you're going to back meetings sometimes. And even if you stand in the corner on your way to the next meeting, you can do that so easily. So that's so great. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's helpful. So we did breath, we did emotions, we did the mental clarity, and now we come to the second M of BEMME, which is muscle tension and posture.
Okay.
So that's another thing you can check into. at any given moment in the day. So just take a moment and feel your shoulders. And I can see you already moving them.
Yeah.
Feel your shoulders. Is there tension? Are they relaxed?
Thank
How's
you.
your neck? Tension in the neck or in the jaw? A lot of us accumulate a tension in the jaw. When I used to work in the office, I had a lot of tension in my jaw sometimes, or in your face in general.
I would have it in my shoulders and my neck.
Yeah. So just acknowledge that. It's not about trying to push it away. It's simply about telling your shoulders, yeah, I hear you. I can feel it. There's something present here. You know, a lot of times the tension we feel physically is actually a representation of some kind of internal conflict or dialogue that's going on, or the emotions that we're experiencing, but we're not able to let them out.
Okay.
And that's when we accumulate tension. And simply being with your shoulders and observing that for a moment can already help you understand, A, how am I doing? And is there maybe some kind of hidden stress that I'm not realizing? And then it helps you to maybe pay some attention to it and see what your body needs.
So if you are feeling that tension in your shoulders or your jaw, what can you do to relieve that?
So for some people, it can help to just be with that and breathe in and just let that tension express itself and just be with it, like as if you're experiencing a shower, kind of you're just in the shower and you're not doing anything active. If that helps, that's great. What you can also do is you can simply activate your body again and stand up and pat yourself down, for example.
Okay.
Pat yourself down from the legs all the way up to your hips, along your torso, your shoulders, everything. That can help.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Or
great.
roll your shoulders a little bit.
Yeah, I do this a lot. Like because again, I would feel the tension in my back or neck, and
Mhm.
that seems to release it pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
And the best thing you can do is not judge yourself for anything that you're realizing while you're doing this BEMME exercise. It's not about detecting something, whether you like it or not, and judging if you like it or not. It's more about having the awareness of what's happening. And just having that awareness and acknowledging it already goes a long way. So a lot of people, after doing the exercise, they already feel more relaxed than they were before.
Great. Very helpful.
Okay, so and posture is another piece of it. Sometimes we're hunched forward, right, when we're writing a lot.
Your thing and
Yeah,
I do that.
exactly. Or the telephone position, right?
Yeah.
And just realizing, how am I positioned here? And is this healthy or not? What does my body need? That can already help a lot to just follow that, follow your instincts, kind of a feeling.
That's great.
Good. So that brings us to the pinky,
The
which
E
is energy overall.
energy.
For energy.
Okay.
Yeah, that closes the BEMME, right? And the energy can be met like general energy, including physical energy. Basically, how full is my battery right now? A lot of high performing people, they schedule their meetings in the morning, for example, because in the mornings we have a biologically natural cortisol high, which makes us more alert and energized. And that's when a lot of people schedule their decision-making time if they can, because it will be easier for you to focus potentially. Or I made a note of this earlier. I personally, I don't go into important meetings without having had a little snack beforehand. Because the worst thing that can happen to me is to be hungry.
Yes.
Like
I
when
have that this share.
yeah. Yeah. So I personally, I cannot go into a meeting that's important when I am hungry or when I'm about to become hungry. So I either take a snack with me, or, for example, if I have a job interview or whatever it is that I need, where I know I need to be at my best, I eat something about 15 minutes before the meeting to give it time to be absorbed by my body and reach my brain. And then I know, okay, I'll be fully functioning. When I'm hungry, I can see how my computational speed in the brain is just going, it goes down really quickly. Do you know that feeling, Renee?
Oh, absolutely. I have been there many times. So this is great. I love this tool, Be Me.
Mhm.
And I think if we're in a meeting, say we do all this before the meeting and, we're in a good space and we go into this important meeting and then your boss or a senior person either yells at you or asks you something that you're like, I don't know. Like, is there any things that you can do at that moment to kind of, go back to that mindset?
Yeah, there are several things you can do. There are quick things you can do to help not get too activated in that moment. So, what usually happens is that when somebody yells at us or when we're getting criticism that we feel is not warranted or we're taken by surprise, our nervous system gets triggered. So, you have to think about our brain and our nervous system in its entirety. It's like an amazingly fine tuned surveillance system. It's constantly filtering, are we under threat or are we safe? And depending on what it filters, and that filter is so fast, Renee, before you can make a conscious thought, you've already filtered out a lot of times what's happening actually. So the conscious thought is the aftermath. The first thing that happens is maybe heart rate goes up, breathing becomes shallow, or you feel you're getting hot.
Yeah.
Or you maybe have a constriction in your belly. That's already a sign of, ooh, I'm getting activated here. So the most important step and the first step for anything is always to be aware of what is happening.
Okay.
The thing that happens afterwards is that we interpret whatever happens to us physiologically in a good way or in a bad way. And when we're getting yelled at, very often we will interpret this feeling of like, oh my God, my heart is starting to race, my hands are getting sweaty, as a bad thing. And because of that interpretation, we get emotionally triggered. And then all of the sudden, the smart part of our brain is not able to find the right answers, right? And then you walk home an hour later, you're thinking, why did I not come up with that idea while I was in the meeting? Right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's because you were in what we call hyperactivated state. And to help yourself get out of that state, or even better, not even go into that state too much, there's a few simple things we can do. So first thing I recommend to anyone is take a double breath in, which is you breathe in and then another time, and then you breathe out as long as you can. And the key here is to breathe out slowly and longer than you inhale.
Okay.
And I'm going to spare you the biological mechanism behind it. But what happens is that our heart signals to our brain that it's safe to relax. And then the heart rate is lowered down. And it helps your nervous system to calm down or not to get too activated.
Okay.
So it actually helps if you have, like, I don't know, maybe a boss is challenging often.
Yeah.
You do that exercise, you do these double breaths at
Okay.
least 4 to 5 times before you even walk in the door.
Oh, that's good.
Because you can build a buffer, right?
And then you could just keep kind of doing it
Doing
as
it
the
if
conversation is
yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, I've been hearing a lot about the vagus nerve and
It's totally connected.
okay, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing something because I read about it, because I've become so interested in the brain and neuroscience after reading some of your posts. And I heard about the vagus nerve. So it's like if you are feeling this stress, if you breathe in 3 or 4 times, then hold your breath, about count to 7, and then release it slowly, counting to 8. And that's supposed to really help. Can you just give us a, like, layman's version of the vagus nerve?
Yeah, and it's in reality, it's a very complex system, and I'm not sure we have fully understood it. And I'm learning about it day by day myself, right? What I can share with you in simple terms is think of the vagus nerve as the communication line between brain and body. And the information goes in both ways.
Okay.
So the vagus nerve, it comes from the word vagabond, which means that it's basically spreading around all of our inner organs. It innervates all of our inner organs. And it's the 10th cranial nerve. It comes down from about here and it goes down all the way into your inner organs. And it regulates how fast your heart beats, how your breathing is, how your digestion is functioning, how your muscle tone is going. Like there's a lot of things that is regulated. And when you get stressed and your brain perceives a stressor, what happens is that the way this nerve is activated changes. And your digestion, for example, is going to slow down. Your heart rate is going to go up. So when you get stressed, basically what happens is that your nervous system, your brain, has filtered some kind of a threat. Let's say the boss yelling at you. Your fear center in the brain realizes, oh my God, we're under threat here, guys. Let's turn on the fight or flight system. A lot of people will know that terminology.
Yeah.
And then there's a different pace in what is signaled from the nervous system that you don't control consciously. It's called the autonomous nervous system. And the vagus nerve is part of this autonomous nervous system. And you get ready for battling or for running away, basically.
Right.
And so your heart rate goes up, your breathing changes, your muscle tone increases. And I mentioned earlier that this mechanism goes 2 ways. So what I just described is how your brain signals to your organs. Now, when we are in this kind of a state, we can help our body signal back to the brain and tell the brain, it's not that bad. We're not under threat here. We can relax. And by doing these breathing exercises, where you breathe in, you maybe hold your breath, depending on the paradigm you want to use. There's many protocols. And then you exhale for a longer period of time. It signals through certain sensors around your heart. It signals the brain through the vagus nerve. We can relax here. I don't have to be so hyper alert. I can calm down a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I love that, because then it will allow you to have a calmer response instead of being angry or defensive. Okay, don't worry, I'll look into that and get back to you, or something like that.
And here's where the rewiring of our brain comes in. So sometimes it can be very difficult to change your knee-jerk reactions, right?
Yeah.
In situations where, and sometimes that might work for you, but if you constantly encounter situations where you feel that's working against you, it might be worthwhile looking into, how can I change that? And how can I rewire my brain to not go down that path, but to choose a different response? And for that, it's really important that we gain the awareness that we just spoke about. And then you take this moment to breathe, because it helps you to distance yourself for a moment from this. The next step that can be helpful is to say, okay, when you're experiencing this in the moment, instead of thinking to yourself, oh my God, I'm getting really upset right now, or hate this dude, or, whatever it is you're thinking, rephrase it into, part of me is feeling annoyed.
Yes.
So there's a big difference between I am annoyed and part of me is annoyed, because that means there's another part of you that can choose to feel differently and to react differently.
I like that.
It takes practice.
Yes. Yeah.
It's definitely doable. And there's a bit more to it
I'm
than
sure.
what I'm able to share here. But there's definitely a lot that can be achieved with that. And you can go from knee-jerk reactions and this autopilot feeling of like, why did I say that? Or why did I do that or not do that? To, okay, my first reaction would have been this, but today I choose to take a different route.
These are such great tips, Vanessa. And I know that you could give us so much more, but can you tell people how can they find you? You have so much expertise on this subject. Is it LinkedIn? What's the best way to find you?
Yeah, definitely LinkedIn. You can always find me on LinkedIn. That's very easy. And you can also find me on my website if you like. It's
Okay.
very simple. It's vsg.coach. That's all about it.
Okay.
Just ping me up on LinkedIn. I'm really happy to have a chat with anybody who's interested in transforming how they engage with decision making, their self leadership, and their self management. Yeah, and if you're just really interested in understanding how to master yourself holistically, then
Yeah.
just feel
This
free
has
to
been
reach out.
so helpful because a lot of our viewers work in high stress financial services, and it's so important to be able to regulate your feelings, your emotions, and be able to come up with clear decisions or, you know, unemotional responses, right? So I think the tips with be me, right? BEMME,
Yes,
right? Okay. And that's so easy to think about. And let's just B is
breath,
breath, emotion. E,
emotions. Yeah.
okay. M for mental.
Yes.
Okay. And then M for muscle.
Muscles.
Muscle.
Attention.
And then the pinky is
Yes.
E for energy.
You got it.
All right. See what I learned in such a short session. Anything else before I know we're running a few minutes behind? Anything before we wrap up, Vanessa?
No, just thank you so much. I really enjoyed the time with you. It's been a really wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Yes, I've learned so much, and I know our viewers will too. Such important things and tools to have, especially in the workplace or any high pressure situations. So thank you so much for your expertise. And I may ask you to come back for like part two, because
Not
there's
to.
so much in neuroscience that we could never cover in 30 minutes. So thank you so much, Vanessa.
Hey, thank
And
you, Ren.
for our listeners, I will share more about Vanessa and how to get in touch with her. I'll share her website and her LinkedIn. But thanks again for being here. And if today's episode helped you rethink how you can make decisions, share it with someone who could use a little clarity too. These are simple tools for everyone to be able to use so we can show up with clear confidence and clarity and unemotional. Thank you. Keep revamping how you work. Have a great day.